Did you know that Marvel owns 7,000 superheroes? 7,000. Now, some of you could probably name the top 10 superheroes that Marvel owns. Maybe Spider-Man, Captain America, the Black Widow come to mind. But have you ever wondered who is on the bottom of that list of 7,000 superheroes? Last year, I listened to a podcast called Planet Money, where the podcasters tried to purchase a superhero from Marvel. Of course, they knew they couldn't afford any of the top, cool, interesting superheroes, so they set out to find the least expensive, least cool superhero. And do you know what superhero they found on the bottom of that list of Marvel's 7,000 superheroes? His name is Doorman. Do you know what Doorman's superpower is? He's a door. He can't fly, he doesn't have a cape, he doesn't have superhuman strength. Doors don't even go anywhere. They're just a way for other people to get where they want to be. I thought, I'm an attorney. I'm a college professor in the College of Business. Maybe I could help explain how to release this Doorman character from Marvel's vault of forgotten superheroes, so that he could regain his intellectual property rights and achieve his dream of maybe being an action figure or being on a lunch pail. Plus, let's be honest, what better way will there be for me to teach intellectual property at the end of the semester than to say, hey, I've secured the rights to my own superhero. And so I did. His name is Copyright Infringement Man. I'm going to use this story to show you how you can copyright your own work, how to publish and print your own ebooks, print books, and even audiobooks. And yes, I'm even going to talk about Quizlet and Chegg. First, I have a confession to make. I can't really draw. That's right. Doorman is a superhero with questionable talents, and I am someone who wrote a comic book with questionable talents as well. So what do we do when we don't have the superpowers we wish we had? I'll tell you what I did. I only drew the eyes and made the comic a draw your own picture adventure. Do you want to know what kind of high-speed program I used to create this comic book? I used Microsoft PowerPoint. We do the best we can with the abilities we have. And let's be honest, I come from the College of Business, Department of Finance. We're lucky I didn't make it in Microsoft Excel. I self-published the book through a company called Lulu.com. To create a print book, you upload a PDF. To create an ebook, you upload a Word document. Lulu then mails you a proof, and once you approve it, your book is available worldwide in places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Ingram, etc. I didn't make this book an audiobook, but if you ever want to make your book an audiobook, you can use acx.com. You post an excerpt and invite narrators to audition. You then choose your narrator and either pay a flat rate or percentage of total receipts. That's all it takes to have your audiobook created and appear on places like Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. Now, some of my academic colleagues may be thinking that this book is self-published, which means two things. One, it is not peer-reviewed, and two, it may not be very good. And you, my colleagues, are absolutely correct. You may find that this book is not very good, and indeed, it is not peer-reviewed. So let's talk about how to register a copyright. In order to copyright a creative work, you go to copyright.gov and follow the steps to register your work. I chose to register a literary work, but maybe some of you would want to register a work of visual arts, or a sound recording, a work of performing arts, or even a motion picture. The cost to register was $65. That was how to register a creative work. But maybe I should also explain why you would want to register your creative work with the US Copyright Office. Whenever you create an original work, be it a song, story, painting, or a poem, you are the copyright owner of your creative work, whether or not you file it with the US Copyright Office. You do not need to register your work to be the copyright owner of it. So why register it? The reason is in the remedies. If someone takes your creative work and makes money on it or hurts your ability to make money on it, you can seek financial damages from them. This is true, again, whether or not you file with the Copyright Office. But you are only eligible for the superpowers of statutory damages, attorney fees, or an injunction to make someone stop the infringement if you file with the Copyright Office within 3 months of first publication. Statutory damages for willful copyright infringement can be $150,000 per infringed work. Should we talk about Quizlet and Chegg? Look at this story. I wrote this as an exam question a few Halloweens ago, and I found it answered on the website Chegg. This question was one of 50 similar stories on the exam. Isn't this my creative work? Am I not the copyright owner of this work, whether or not I register it with the US Copyright Office? And if I do register it with the US Copyright Office within 3 months of first publication, shouldn't I be entitled to $150,000 in statutory damages? On the surface, it may seem so, but there is an extra hurdle when the defendant in a copyright infringement lawsuit is an online platform like Quizlet or Chegg. The extra hurdle is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA. It's from 1998. The DMCA changed copyright law, making online platforms only liable for copyright infringement if they have actual knowledge of specific acts of copyright infringement. Actual knowledge. How could I show that Chegg or Quizlet knew they were infringing on my copyrighted material when they allowed it on their sites? This is what I did. I added copyright 2021 Dwight M. Kealy at the top of every exam question. I even added copyright 2021 Dwight M. Kealy as one of the answer choices for every exam question. By the way, students, it's never the right answer, so please don't pick it. If Quizlet or Chegg allow my questions to remain on their site, even with my conspicuous copyright warnings, couldn't we argue that they know about their infringement? And if perhaps I registered my exams with the US Copyright Office within 3 months after their first publication, couldn't I be entitled to an injunction to stop the copying, maybe attorney's fees, and maybe statutory damages of $150,000 per infringement? Before my colleagues get too excited, we should talk about fair use. How am I not infringing on Marvel's copyright? Even if I am only drawing the eyes, my book includes Doorman, Spider-Man, the Black Widow. These characters are all owned by Marvel. The late Stan Lee, creator of many beloved Marvel characters, even makes a cameo with his signature glasses. Section 107 of the Copyright Code allows someone to use a copyrighted work without permission if it's a fair use for criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. Some of the factors weighed to determine fairness are the purpose and character of the use and the amount and substantiality of the portion used. So, in addition to not being able to draw, I think it made sense to limit my use of Marvel's copyrighted material to only the eyes of the characters and make it clear that my purpose was for teaching, scholarship, and research. But isn't Chegg and Quizlet's use of my exam questions different than my use of Marvel's eyes? In the early days of copy machines, a business set up an off-campus for-profit copy shop so that students would buy copies of textbooks and anthologies from them instead of buying the books from the publishers and the campus bookstore. They might argue that their purpose was for teaching, scholarship, and research, but the courts found that this use was not a fair use. Courts did not like that the protected materials were copied for a commercial purpose and for the same intrinsic purpose as the copyrighted material. Isn't it Chegg's and Quizlet's business model to make money off of our creative work? In case you're curious, the statute of limitations is 3 years for copyright infringement. And students, if you're watching, you're not an online platform, so you're not protected by the DMCA. And when you sign up with Chegg and Quizlet, you agree to indemnify them, that is, make them whole for any copyright infringement damages your uploads might cause. I include my comic book and sample questions at the end of my ALSB submission. I trust your use of them will be a fair use. And in case you're curious, although I looked to Marvel for the eyes of most characters, when it came time to illustrate copyright infringement, man, I found my inspiration closer to home.